there were three recent bank failures. Who knows if there's going to be any more? But Randy, the impression I'm getting is because of that failure that we may see mortgage rates actually come down because of the concern over the failures. Do you have a correlation, or should I read off of this report?
I'd like to hear your correlation first on
So
that,
the demise
please.
of the three banks have been sending shockwaves throughout the already fragile economy. It could have an impact on real estate. Silicon Valley Bank failure, along with few other banks, means that the Federal Reserve cannot be so aggressive in raising its short-term interest rates. Well, they were this past Wednesday. They put it up another 25 basis points. And so that the theory, according to Lawrence Yun, who is the chief economist at the National Association of Realtors, he's saying, and I'm quoting here, therefore, mortgage rates will decline. Mortgage rates have been steadily rising as we've been tracking in recent weeks, a 30-year fixed loan averaging about 6.73% last week or the week before. That's according to Freddie Mac, and the Fed has been making a series of aggressive rate increases, as we've been talking, short-term increases, which, as we say, have impacted the long-term rates. So the reason, the concept behind this is, according to the National Association of Realtors, is that rates will come down because of the concern that the Fed is not going to be raising the short-term rates as quickly, as increasingly as they have in the past. So, you buy that, Randy?
I really don't. I think it's more what's going on with inflation.
Okay.
And I really do. I think that inflation is the key indicator right now if they continue to take rates up. And sincerely, that what they did wrong is they waited too long to raise rates, and now they're all being over aggressive with it. And employment is going to finally show that it's not rocking like everybody thinks. They did a lot of adjustments, which they're allowed to do in January, which gave false numbers, in my opinion. So now we're going to have an employment issue. And with inflation coming down, though, it's going to be a great recipe for us to have better rates. So I don't think it really has a lot to do with the long.
Yeah, I agree with Randy. I think it's the real numbers are going to be when that CPI index starts to show not just a flattening and a stabilizing, but a real turn towards the other direction. And that's where, if you've been watching any of the Squawk Box or MSNBC, I've been glued to it the past couple of weeks. Is the Fed taking the market out of it, and the market's certainly reacting to the Fed, but the Fed's not reacting to the market. The Fed's reacting to that inflation number specifically. And whatever banks are left in the dust, in my personal opinion, are going to be left in the dust. So when the first question Bob said, do we think more might fail? I think a couple more might domino, depending on, there's some what are the credit default swaps that are getting ready to come due, and there's the debt ceiling issue that's looming. So there's a couple more. There's a couple more things we got to get through. But the good news is, and the question I always get from everybody is, how's the housing market? They hear all this stuff, and while it has slowed dramatically in respects to the past couple of years where interest rates were really low, it has stabilized. The good agents are still out there working. There's still business to be had. People still need to move. Jobs are still relocating. People are still moving from big cities to come to Louisville, Kentucky. The question is, again, inventory, and are you in the position to sell and leverage yourself? What do you need to do? And those are the questions you need to start asking yourself and talking to a real estate agent, because rates shouldn't necessarily scare anybody away from having to make a move. It's, if it works for you and the timing is right for you, is what you should decide, not the rate.
Well, case in point is your wife. Sincerely, she's still doing business. There's on the Sokoler team, almost everybody's still doing business.
Yeah.
And sincerely, when I say it, there's another issue here also, Greg, is that when you can go out now and get a 6-month term treasury backed by the government, a note for 4.99%, there's going to be a lot of deposits that leave the banks, and that's another issue. And now you have all this, you put this all together, and that's why I think the banking industry is going to be somewhat under pressure. And this happened back in 2008, 2009, and really Fannie and Freddie kept rocking. And that's what, the long-term play is, they kept going. And now the short-term is going to could have some issues. For example, car loans, things of that nature could get a little dicey. Not that they will go away, but that's where you're going to have more issues than the long-term play.